bring the redistricting meeting to adjourn, or we're going to do it. My name is Rich Johnson. I'm the chair of this committee, and I will do a roll call to my left.
Matt Bergen.
Pat Richardson.
To my right.
Paul Thompson.
And we don't have anyone on Zoom, so that's just us. We have a quorum, so we're good. First thing we have to approve are the minutes. I did have one change of the minutes that had us starting at 6:30 and ending at 6:30, so that's impossible. So they're gonna fix that.
You have to approve the agenda first.
Okay. You want to do the agenda first? Okay. The agenda, I mean, I looked at it, it looks fine. Anyone have any questions about the agenda? Or?
No, I move to accept the agenda as provided.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Now we're going to go to the minutes, and like I said, the start time, we got to fix that to like, I guess 5:30 by 6:30. Other than that, the content is, I saw it was okay. Anybody else have any questions on the minutes?
I'd like to move to approve the minutes from last meeting.
With that correction of start time. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. We're going to go with the agenda and my favorite, IT. So I guess you have the floor.
Okay, well, good evening. All of you should have received an email from me probably about half an hour ago, 20 minutes, half hour ago, that had the link to your personal redistricting map along with credentials to access that. And what I'll be demoing this evening is a version of that map that looks identical to each of yours, and show you how to operate that so that you each can take the next 2 weeks to personally play around, move census blocks, precincts, et cetera, between districts, see what the resulting population and registered voters numbers look like, and do with that as you wish. So I'll start off by saying I've tried to very streamline this so that it's very user-friendly. That being said, this is general web mapping software. It is not specifically made for this redistricting task. So there are a few small quirks, but I think you'll find it relatively easy to work with and get your numbers. And then a few things about the numbers before we get started. So you'll see, and I'll go ahead and click on a block here so that you can see, we have for you total population, as well as the population over 18, the number of registered voters within that census block, the current district, and you also see your proposed district. So if you change the district that block is assigned to, you'll see that new number that you assigned here, but you'll always be able to see what under the current district lines are, what that block is. Now the census released, they actually ended up releasing early. I think it was August 12th. I think they had promised August 18th, and they released August 12th. The state took that data, and also what was released by the census is a very, very IT-heavy, not user-friendly version of the data. The state thankfully took that and was able to process that and put that out into a very easy format that we could get loaded into the maps. That saved our department a lot of work going through that. And so these are the total population and population over 18 are the 2020 census as released just a few weeks ago. That being said, legally, from what I've read online, from the state, is that these numbers are not the final numbers that can be officially used for redistricting. The state is planning on releasing during the first week of September the adjusted numbers, which take into account group housing, which is specifically jails and some other, I think, health facilities and that type of stuff, where the state has more information than the federal government does on current numbers. So I'm hoping that the state will release that, as they say, sometime the first week of September, and to be able to push those adjusted numbers into this map for you in time for the next meeting in 2 weeks' time. And the moment that happens, I will be able to send out an email to let you know that those numbers are now updated. For the vast majority of the census blocks, I predict that it will have zero change on the numbers. As I said, it's group facilities, mostly jails, and I think some larger, like retirement homes, that type of thing. So there's probably only a few census blocks that will have a change due to that. But before any official proclamation or a decision can be made, those numbers have to be put out by the state. Also, there will be a forthcoming change also to the registered voters number. The numbers that we're working here for registered voters came from the election board probably about 6 months ago. And just yesterday, I got a new voters list from them, and it should add about 6,000 registered voters across the county from these current numbers, and I hope to have those numbers updated for you by this Friday. Once again, I'll send out an email.
But you do have the updated voter list of the...
I have it. It's just
Okay.
not reflected in
So you
the
just
map
have to
yet.
integrate it into this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some further tweaks to do, just making sure it aligns with our GIS-based address, official address list for the county. That allows us to know where these addresses are and place them in the correct block. So we just have some work to get those checked and merged, and anticipating having those updated numbers for you by Friday. That being said, this reflects about 75,000 registered voters. The new list is about 80,000 registered voters. So these registered voters numbers they will change, but not by a great degree, no more than probably 5 or 6%, and this should be relatively even across the board, across the county. So those are the caveats, but these numbers should be very close and very good for you to start looking at and start developing, ideas and plans. So with that, I'll walk through how to use this map. So by default, when you come into the map, there are 2 layers turned on, and up here we have our layer list. You have some other layers. You had asked for polling places.
Yeah, I see you changed that too. Yeah, I saw the polling places, that's good.
Yep.
I saw the original where they had like separate, they had 2 blocks of, what was it? It was the census overlay. So I guess you had one with the actual mapping, and the other one had the actual data, where you actually go in and get that block data. So
Yeah. So there's, so right now I'm going to turn off, so if I turn off the block groups, you can see that this maps what the commissioner districts currently are, the legal lines as they stand right now. If I turn that off and turn on your commissioner district edit, this is the layer that you will edit and make changes to in order to determine new population numbers. You'll see that each individual census block has been symbolized based on its current district. And so if I turn on the legal lines, you'll see that they match, very, very closely. The idea was to assign each block as best as possible which district it currently resides in. You'll notice that there are a few discrepancies where the current legal line cuts through a census block. So obviously, for now, we have to choose one district for that block to live in. And there are 4 or 5 of those discrepancies across the county, and that's something that we will need to address down the line. For now, it's close enough for just working up numbers and determining what direction you want to head. So the idea is that you will be able to go in here, and if you want to, for instance, move this census block or this group of census blocks from District 2, say, into District 4, you can do that and then get a live update of what the population numbers are. So I'll start right before we talk about how you actually make that change. These three buttons here give you your statistics. So we have total population, population. I didn't like that that symbol. Population over 18, and registered voters. So if I click total population, you'll see that it pops up here with a chart, and I can hover over any one of these. It will highlight all the blocks that make up that district, and it gives you the total population. So you can see here, the largest District 4 currently has 33,443 people. The smallest, District 2, is 24,579. And we can replicate this population greater than 18 or registered voters. So that gives you your numbers. Okay, so let's demonstrate actually changing some blocks. If I zoom in, you'll notice that the labels turn on and it gives you the population, the total population of that particular block. Now, unfortunately, as I said, this is one of the quirks. You do not have control over what that label shows, whether it shows total population, population over 18, or registered voters. If you would like, if you find those labels helpful, but you would like it to be registered voters or something different for your personal map, you can contact me and I can make that change for you. Unfortunately, there's no way for you to change what that label is. So the default right now is that it shows you the total population within that block. And that's just for reference. If you know that you're trying to decrease or increase a particular district by a certain number of people, this is an easy way for you to maybe visualize before you make that change what that effect might have for the numbers. Okay, I'm going to close this layer list. We don't need it right now. So using this button here, this batch attribute editor, I now have multiple ways to select blocks. I can draw a line, I can draw a box. I'm going to just use this line tool, and let's say I want to change all of these census blocks. Sorry, let me grab this one. I can just drag a line that touches all the boxes I want to change, and you can now see that I have highlighted and turned gray all 4 of these census blocks. And it pops up and says your proposed district. They're currently 2. I want to change these. I'm just going to type 4. And apparently the split screen is giving me, there we go. My numlock was on. I'm going to change that to 4 and hit save. And you'll see, if I close the editor, I have now changed, and the symbology has changed. Those blocks are now colored as district number 4. And if I come here to total population chart again, you can even see that those bars shifted right when we opened it. And if we hover over 2 or over 4, actually it might take a second to update on the, well, and I apologize, it's not I know the numbers updated, the graphic, it should be highlighting the entire district. It worked perfectly when I was testing earlier. I will double check that, but it has updated the numbers. We were at a higher number for 4 and a lower number for 2. I'm just going to reopen this.
That functionality exists in the link you gave me. So that functionality exists, that update where does the full highlight does work on this computer. So.
Oh, okay. So it must just be something with this particular, thank you, browser. I'm not sure why it's not doing the correct highlight on here. Well, here it's working on this other one for population greater than 18. We can see that it's now highlighting the correct districts.
Oh.
Hopefully, y'all won't have that issue. I think there's just a slight bug for some reason with these. And by having this, always having on the current legal district lines, you can easily visualize what you've changed and how you've extended a district now and gotten those new numbers. And if you decide you want to take that back, once again, another quirk, I'm unable to provide you a reset button that will take it exactly back, which I know is something you asked for and I looked into, and I could not find a way to provide that. But as I said, it should be relatively, hopefully relatively easy to go and reselect those.
Go back in.
We're going to take this back to 2 and hit save. And then close your editing. And so in this way, you can go down all the way down to the individual blocks moving and get your new population totals. Now, there is a slightly more advanced way if you want to move an entire precinct from one district to another, and you want to make an easier rather than having to select the individual ones. I do have a layer, current election precincts, and you can see how those are outlined. So let's say I wanted to move precinct 06001 from District 2 to District 4. In my editing, I'm just going to move this over so we can see. I can click this edit, which opens up a filter function. Like I said, this is a little more advanced, whether or not you want to use this or not, but I wanted to show you. So we can create an expression, and we can say we want only the precinct that is, I'm going to select unique numbers and then give the drop down, and it will give me the list of precincts. And of course, I don't remember which one I said, 06001, and hit OK. And you'll see that it has now filtered the map to be only the blocks which are part of that precinct, which now makes it very easy. I can take my box, and without worrying about whether I'm getting extra blocks or not, I can select all of them at once, move them to 4, and as soon as I clear and close the editing, I've now moved all the blocks that make up that precinct from the one district to the other. And we can see it's still not working for some reason on this one, but we can see that the charts adjusted the population. This one is highlighting correctly, and is giving us our new population totals. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I'm available if you have technical difficulties or issues. I'm certainly available during regular business hours to assist and make sure that things are working right. But I've tried to make it as user-friendly as possible to be able to go in and play with these numbers and get them. So do you have any questions or anything else you'd like me to demonstrate or demonstrate again?
I have questions. Anybody else have questions? Or maybe my questions will generate other questions.
I just have one, but by all means, go ahead.
So let's see. So you showed me how to remove stuff. That's good. I noticed that when you hit some of the individual blocks and you see the voters greater than 18, then you have the eligible or registered voters. So a lot of times you'd see a difference. You'd actually see more registered voters than there are people greater than 18. That's probably because of the people that are 18 and the people that are 17 that can vote in the primary, provided on the general they're 18 before or on that day. Is there any way to get that data order just equal to 18, or just to show that the numbers jive together?
As far as if the registered voters is greater than the number, than the
Well,
population over the 18?
the registered voters should always be, at least max equal to the eligible, unless they didn't
Yes.
register. So there's for eligibility, you can be 17 and vote in primary. But
Oh, so-
provided you're 18,
I see what you're saying. So
Right.
from the elections board, if we know that somebody has registered at 17 early, that would be a reason for the
right,
discrepancy between.
I was just clicking around, I saw a lot of those where the numbers were different in big time, where, you had,
Yeah, so I have one up on the screen right now where registered voters is 502 and population greater than 18 is
Exactly.
498. As you say, 17-year-olds can register, correct?
Right.
Which could provide some of the reason for the discrepancy.
right, that's what I figured it was.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can get to that data.
I don't know, elections would have to, I don't know that they.
Can you get at least equal to and greater than 18? At least that would get it a little bit closer.
Oh, as far as registered voters that are
Yeah,
18
I mean,
and older?
if you have at least 18,
I don't know if that data, I don't know if
Okay.
election board collects that or if that's available.
Okay.
In the data they have given me, there's no age of the voter.
Really?
So that will be something that will have to be directed to the elections board.
okay, so I was just seeing that difference, I was wondering why.
Also, keep in mind that the census tally is an estimate. They produce statistical, analysis that give a range. This is only a median range. This number represents technically a 90% chance. They give I'm blanking on the term, but basically a range of possible error. So, and that they produce that range per census block. And I don't know that they have published that data yet. So keep in mind, in this case, 498, that has a magnitude of error
Okay.
possibility. So, it could be 512.
While you're on that block, hit the three dots on the right and view the attribute table. So, which basically replicates the same data that's in the block. Is
Yes.
there any way to, the table seems very fixed, you can't move it around. And how would you close that table other than, I mean, you can push it all the way down, but it doesn't go away.
Yeah, there's always this little
Right,
little tab
it's still
here.
there.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, that table will not, like, if you go to another area, it's not going to update until you tell it to show that table. So it'll actually have the prior data of the prior area that you looked at. So just for us to be aware until you update it.
I can play with some settings on the table and try to make that even a little more useful as well.
Link it more to where you are, then that will update right away.
Yes.
Okay.
I had not played with any of the settings for the attribute table, so that is a good point. I will get those more useful. I can also add a select tool so that you can select blocks, and then when you open the attribute table, you'll see the information for all those blocks that you've selected, so that you'll have a little more control over that table. So yes, I can make some improvements there.
Okay, and as we're moving stuff around in and out of districts, commissioner districts, on the graphical where it shows the population, we're supposed to shoot for about 10% between. Can you somewhere in there flag it if we're getting outside that window of?
I don't know that I can flag it. I can, right now it only shows actual numbers.
Right.
I believe I can make it so that it also would show a percentage. So that way it may be a little easier to,
I mean, the
see
data's
if-
there, you should be able, if this District 1 and District 2, you start moving stuff, one's going to lose, one's going to gain.
Yes.
So, did we just exceed, if we move 5% from one to the other, that's 10%, so.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't
something-
know that I don't have a trigger that would
Well,
then,
put that in the back of your mind.
Pop
So
something
you're an
up.
IT guy, you'll probably figure it out.
Rich,
But-
can I go back to your first question, just to ask
There's so
a
many questions, which one?
follow-up
Which one?
about the
Age or the
greater than 18, the 17.
greater than or equal?
And then also, so that's a little chance of standard error of measurement. But then the 90% that the census gives as accuracy, I think was the number that you quoted, percentage that you quoted. When the adjusted numbers come back, will they clearly state that this represents a 90% accuracy or whatever it may be?
Quality of the data?
So the accuracy numbers are published directly by the census. The tweaked data will be tweaked by the state. I do not know that they will, I don't believe that, I think I can note which blocks have had their population changed by the state from the original census, but I don't know if the state will publish their own accuracy numbers to go along with that.
So to me, I mean, I'm just really curious about, is it 90% or is it less than that? In which case we would feel less confident
Yeah.
about our numbers. Is it plus or minus?
I can try to find the census publishes separate tables that have for every, I believe for every single block, their confidence level in
Okay,
that number.
confidence level is what I'm looking for.
If, like I said, I don't know if they have published that or not. I can try to find if they have it, and if they can, if they have, I can add it in here so that we can have a, for, if you go click on this block, we'd have an additional line that says confidence level of, and however they express that in some
Okay.
meaningful way. Yeah.
Didn't mean to.
That's fine. We're supposed to ask questions. So, again, when you hit that block and you see all the stuff in the area, this is just a minor, you can probably fix it. So, if you hit zoom 2, well, hit zoom 2,
I did.
okay?
Let me try a different one.
Okay, can you zoom back out? Or do you have to just pull back by yourself with the mouse?
I'm pulling back with the
Okay, so
roller
there's no
ball.
like zoom back.
There's no
Okay.
zoom back. I can add, I have the option of adding buttons over here that are forward and backwards of your views.
That might
So you
work.
could come back here and hit back, and it would step you back through all the views that you've had.
Okay,
But no, there is no zoom back out button.
so that's all I got right now. So if anyone, you had a question?
Two questions and a comment/recommendation. So two-part question. As we draft these potential realignments, is there a way to socialize these drafts with the rest of the board? And then if we are able to do that, is that permissible outside of a formal forum?
He's talking about the quorum, so that, I think if we just send you, like I've been doing, recommendations, you can disseminate to do that.
That would be my suggestion.
Right,
So, yeah, anytime that you're sharing, especially in a reply all setting,
right.
would be considered a meeting.
Understood.
So our recommendation would be send to Diane.
It's sent to Diane and she'll disseminate, and so we don't,
We'll also copy Sharon Ferris, just in case I'm not in the
Oh, true.
office.
Please use
Okay.
microphones.
Thank you, Amy. So please also, send everything to Diane and also CC Sharon Ferris. Ferris wheel. So like that type of spelling. And then, so to Dr. Richardson and Chairman Johnson's question, are you looking for the numbers of eligible voters? Because that would be the greater than or equal to 18 numbers.
well, not, plus you also have the 17-year-olds, so that even
That's what I'm
goes-
saying. So it
Right,
would include, because they would be eligible to vote on.
right, so yeah, that would be a good number, I think, to get, but I don't know if
If that numbers
IT,
exist, yeah, I don't know.
so that was just, if he can find it, great. It just brings those numbers closer to the differences when you see registered voters.
Yeah, and I'll talk to the elections
Right.
board about why, I'm not sure what they store.
Okay?
Thank you, everyone. Oh.
Thank you. No, that answers it. Thank you so much. And then with respect to an easy way is where, we'll just say, manipulating the, these respective districts. So given that this data set, total population of 113,777, ideal even distribution amongst four is 28,444 with a 10% variance, high is 29,866. So on this total population tab, are you able to draw, just, add an additional line at the high parameter of around 29,800 and then a low parameter of 29,000 and then 27,000?
Oh,
So
so
we
that
could
you would-
see that deviation.
long
and
as
then
you're-
as we're manipulating the
Right,
bars.
it's sort of like I said, like the
Yeah.
10%, get the mean overall.
Right,
and
so
go-
the addition of just a couple dotted
Yeah.
lines or a colored line, flat line that shows you, if we can get all of these in that respective bar, then it should make it relatively easy as we're clicking around.
That's a great idea. I do not know if I can do that or not.
Okay.
I will have
Yeah,
to.
the mean and plus or minus 5%.
If not, I'll just get a dry erase marker and draw it on my laptop.
Yeah.
Right. So getting back to what you were just talking about, so when we do all these changes, let's say my friend, Mr. Thompson over here, he gets a great idea, he wants to save it. Can we save our changes in a file or name it, or do we have to write it down in a book?
There is a print function that will let you export a PDF view of what you have, but no, there's not like a save, restore to this moment, or send this file for somebody else. It's it's unfortunately not set up for being able to do that.
So nothing is saved then? Well, we're just modifying it live and then?
You're just modifying it live, and when you
Okay.
make a
Okay.
change and hit save, it's now the new, and there's no way to go back. It's always just unfortunately, the answer is to take screenshots, print the PDF, take notes.
Get your color printer.
It's, unfortunately, there are 100% redistricting solutions that, out there by third-party companies, and maybe that's something that could be looked at for the next redistricting down the road. Unfortunately, at the moment, have to work with what we already have and is available.
So understanding that when we go to share these with each other, even like in a meeting setting, how would we do that? I mean, obviously I can print out this PDF. What could we do? Like, could we, to even look at, let's say we wanted to get a example map loaded up and then possibly manipulate it within this setting, because we think we're close, we're just trying to adjust a
Yeah.
few things. Could we support that?
I mean, I'm anticipating being present at the future meetings, and if members had different versions that they wanted to pre-set up and have ready, so that's something that could be given to me, and I could create them and have them ready to go, and then we can manipulate them on the fly, and discuss, if that's something. I understand it's not it's not ideal, but yes, we can live time during the meetings if you would like to.
Right. So I'm thinking if you get a pretty good solution, you could have, your graph up there, you could have what you changed. You could take a snapshot, paste it in a PowerPoint, and then you can put arrows, what you just did for, hey, this change may work. That'd be one way to do it, just do a snapshot. Picture, take it in, just paste it into PowerPoint.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to
I know.
get a feel for the workflow.
Yeah, it's like we're working around what we'd like, so.
I mean, theoretically, we could all make our own draft that
Sure.
hits it within, 2% deviation.
Sure.
But they're all going to be unique, so
Then we can discuss the
get them all to
pro
align.
and cons of each one. Did we just remove a voting area where people have to go and actually vote? That's why you got all the stars in there too. So I think that's all I got. Anybody else have any other questions or?
One more thing, the two adjustments you mentioned for the final census data and for the registered voters, those are the last two changes that will happen?
I'm aware of, yes.
Okay.
And I guess we'll be getting some of that near the end of the week.
Yes, registered voters, you should have by Friday.
Right.
And then the tweak from the state on the group housing.
The first week of September.
They just say first week of September, so I don't know when exactly that would
Okay.
be. I'm also on vacation next week, so if they release it next week, I'm hoping, the Monday before the next meeting to be able to, if the state has released them, to be able to roll them in for you.
Okay.
So,
I'm sure we'll generate more questions as we dig into this software, and either we can go straight to you guys or straight to IT. Do you have a preference, or maybe we'll just go to Diane, so at least you can get the information then that's disseminate maybe what they found or had a question about.
So if someone raises a question, we send it to Diane, and then can that question and response be sent to all of us? Or is that an open meetings issue?
Do you mean a question from our department?
While people are playing,
It's the quorum, so
Of course, of course.
so that, we can't email each other in an email, because that would break the quorum, Freedom, Meetings Act. So in order to at least be able to talk to people like ourselves, we'll talk to Diane and Sharon. Sharon? And then we'll get, whether it's an IT question or whatever it is, and then we can disseminate the answer, or the question and the answer to everybody. So we're all still talking to each other in a way and not violating any rules.
In a sense.
Okay? So
That
you're the legal person, so that's a good thing.
seems fair. And if there are any problems, we'll let you know.
Right, so, it's all recorded, we're doing that, so if anybody wants to look at it, they can. So I think we're good. So, any other questions, or we're all good? Anyone would like to motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
We'll second that motion.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Any nays? There's no nays, so meeting adjourned, we're over.